After Mammotion brought the top-notch mowing robot Luba to the market last year, a significant update is now being unveiled a year later. Numerous optimizations and innovations, along with extensive user feedback, are said to have been incorporated into the successor generation, the Luba 2 AWD. We'll thoroughly explore what this new wireless high-end mower has to offer and how it truly performs in practice in today's video. I hope you're as excited as I am, so let's dive right in after the intro. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon to never miss a video in the future. You can find the current prices of the device to support this channel down below in the video description. Thank you very much for your support, and let's get started. About a year ago, I extensively tested and introduced the first generation of Mammotion Luba for you. If you haven't seen the video yet, you can find it now in the top right corner on the info card or on my channel. The impression that the device left on me and many others was more than remarkable. To put it briefly, while not a budget device, it comes with several special features and high-performance metrics that have raised the bar to a whole new level. Accordingly, we can be excited about what the current generation of the Luba 2 AWD has to offer. So I'd say let's find out. Now, before we start and take a look at the actual device, I'd like to say a few words about the contents of the package and the setup process. Just like with the first version, the package of the large mower is extremely generous. Additional accessories such as a cover and spare parts are available optionally. However, the standard package of the mower is completely sufficient to get the device up and running immediately. As for the setup process itself, I have to admit that it's not entirely straightforward, as there are a few small pitfalls to watch out for. For those interested in how best to go about the assembly to get the device up and running as quickly and effectively as possible, I'll explain step by step in a detailed separate video. You can find the video for setting up and configuring the robot afterwards in the top right corner on the info card. Overall, I can say that the assembly took me about 15 to 20 minutes. Once the device is assembled, the setup of the mower is the only remaining task, which is significantly simpler than setting up the charging station. Establishing a connection with the robot went smoothly for the most part. However, connecting to my 2.4 GHz network took 2 unsuccessful attempts. On the third try, it succeeded and the mower was able to download and install the latest company updates. The positive aspect is that if you already own the first version of the Luba, the app for operating the mower is the same with minor updates, so there's no need for significant adaptation to get the robot up and running, saving us valuable time in practice. Otherwise, the mapping, as with the first version, is very simple and straightforward, so even larger lawn areas with varying numbers of zones or no-go areas are digitized relatively quickly. Again, I refer you to the separate video for setting up and commissioning the mower. And that's about it. The mower's ready for action and we can thoroughly test it in the following. Let's start with the exterior because, as you can see, there's not much of a difference purely in terms of appearance compared to the first version. The mower continues to stand out primarily due to its massive construction, size, and design. Thanks to its particularly robust and thick plastic housing, the device not only gives a quality and sturdy impression, but it's also IPX6 certified, meaning it can withstand jet water, which is very convenient for cleaning. However, the device should not be cleaned with a pressure washer as indicated on the underside. Connected to this, of course, is the weight of the device, which is not modest. The mower weighs a proud 18.6 kilograms. As seen in the graphic, it's a gram lighter than its predecessor, but still quite heavy compared to other devices. Fortunately, the device has 2 small recesses on the right and left, allowing the robot to be safely gripped and transported short distances. One of the major features of the Luba mowers is their off-road capability. Unlike other robots, all new Luba 2 models still have a solid all-wheel drive instead of just two large drive wheels and steering rollers. Regarding the wheel diameter, there's been no change compared to the predecessor at 170 millimeters. Compared to other devices, however, as seen in the graphic, the diameter is relatively small, but this is compensated for by the all-wheel drive. A clear issue with the first generation was the turning capability due to the rigid axle. Now, all models have what are called omni wheels on the front, which are wheels equipped with multiple individual rotating rollers. This allows the robot to turn more easily while also significantly reducing lawn stress. In the app, we have the option to specify whether the robot should turn in multiple maneuvers or directly on the spot. Both work without any issues, although the first option is still slightly gentler on the lawn. From my experience, I can definitely say that I wouldn't want to miss this feature anymore. But that's not all. There's also a movable axle mounted on the front, which ensures that the Luba handles larger unevenness in the lawn effortlessly. And last but not least, all new models, not just the 5000 series, now have the impressive ability to handle inclines with a gradient of up to 80%, which is extremely impressive for a mower. I extensively tested this feature with the previous version in practice as well. You can find the video in the top right corner on the info card. As seen in the graphic, this puts the Luba at the forefront when it comes to climbing. So now let's move on to the most important criterion of any mower, which is the mowing result. Regarding this point, it's important to differentiate between the different area capacities and performances of the models. Mammotion continues to offer three different size models with capacities of 1,000, 3,000, and 5,000, as well as another very large model with 10,000 square meters. In direct comparison, as you can see, Luba remains the leader in this aspect. Depending on the size of the area you want to manage, there should definitely be a suitable model available. Associated with this is also the consideration of the robot's battery life, which varies between the different models. The 5,000 square meter model logically has the largest battery of the three mowers. It has a solid capacity of 10 ampere hours or 252 watt hours. As shown in the diagram, this is not only significantly more than what the other devices have to offer, but also slightly larger than that of the previous version. In practice, the mower can operate for quite a while before needing to return to the charging station, which is particularly advantageous for large areas. Specifically, in practical testing, it achieves an approximate working time of slightly less than 3 hours, depending on the height and density of the grass. Speaking of height, there have also been some changes in this regard. All three models have an identical cutting height, which can be adjusted from 25 to 70 millimeters. As seen in the diagrams, the new Luba remains very well positioned in comparison and can perform both a very shallow and a very high cut. I particularly think it's brilliant that Mammotion has introduced additional models with the suffix H at the end of the name. This most likely stands for high, as all these models have an exceptionally deep cutting depth of up to 10 centimeters. By the way, the adjustment of the cutting depth is purely electric, inside through motors, and can only be controlled through the app. In parallel, let's take another look at the cutting width. The first generation of Luba already excelled with a particularly large cutting width. Likewise, the successors still have two unchanged blade discs on the underside, each with 4 blades. This results in a total cutting width of an astonishing 400 millimeters, which is usually double that of conventional mowers. As seen in the graphic, no other device I've tested can match the Luba in this regard. However, in practice, this is enormously advantageous in terms of work progress. What other robots do in 2 passes, the Luba accomplishes in 1, saving a lot of time. For medium-sized areas of approximately 500 square meters, like my area number 1, it completed them in just over an hour. Who would have thought? Due to its size and maneuverability, the robot is naturally not as precise when it comes to edge cutting as significantly smaller models. Nevertheless, I must say that the Luba 2 has performed quite well in terms of edge trimming. In practice, I tested the robot in several scenarios to determine how far the robot drives over the boundary or how many centimeters it stays away from the edge of the lawn area. To identify the exact overlap area, I conducted several measurements at 0, 50, and 100%. 0 means that the mower was mapped along the boundary on the lawn. 50% partially on the lawn and partially on the boundary, and 100% entirely on the boundary. At 0%, I found that the mower already drives about 10 centimeters onto the boundary. At 50%, it was about 20 centimeters, and at 100%, it was around 35 to 40 centimeters. For protruding lawn edges, I would advise maintaining a distance of about 10 to 15 centimeters during mapping to ensure that the robot does not get damaged while driving along. In the app, we can also set the robot to perform an edge trim before starting the mowing process. In this regard, we can choose how many laps it should make. In practice, it proved advantageous for me to let it perform 2 laps for the edge trimming before the mower starts mowing the main area. However, the fast progress is not only due to the large cutting width, but also to the working principle. Since this is a wireless GPS robot, there's no need for the time-consuming laying of a boundary wire. The robot itself determines its position on the lawn using satellites and simultaneously receives correction data for positioning from the RTK station. In practice, this enables positioning accuracy to within a few centimeters. This is particularly evident when looking at the pattern of the mower on the lawn. As you can see, Luba continues to mow in a nice parallel path, which is much more efficient compared to the chaos principle in many respects. Furthermore, in addition to satellite positioning, the Luba 2 also has a built-in dual camera on the front. This serves not only for obstacle detection, which I'll talk about shortly, but also for more precise orientation of the robot. With the camera, it scans its surroundings for distinctive points and saves them in the digital map. This provides double security, so even if it cannot receive a precise GPS signal under tall trees, it can still navigate accurately and avoid landing in flower beds. Regarding mowing efficiency, in the app, you can also set whether the mower should mow the area only once or in a checkerboard pattern. In both cases, I can say the mowing results are very good, and I couldn't find any areas that the mower had overlooked. In the app, it's also possible to monitor live how much percentage of the area the mower has already mowed and how long it will take for the remaining area. This is displayed both numerically and in a graphical representation, which, in my opinion, is very well done. For those who have many different zones, Luba remains an excellent choice, because even the predecessor was not hesitant in this regard. Specifically, there's also a gradation between the 3 size models. The 1,000 square meter variant already allows for up to 10 zones, the 3,000 model up to 20, and the large 5,000 model up to a whopping 30 zones, which is definitely more than enough for all application areas. Creating additional zones is just as straightforward as creating the first zone, except that in this case, we need to create a connection path so that the robot knows how to move from zone to zone. The connection paths can be freely defined. However, the passage width of the connection must not be less than 1.5 meters. If a connection is not possible, for example, because there's a staircase in between, it's also possible to carry the robot into the other zone and let it perform the job there, which I also find extremely practical. Similarly, it's possible to set different cutting heights or cutting patterns for the different zones. One could say that when it comes to multi-management, there are literally no limits with the Luba. Building on that, we now come to another important point: obstacle detection. As mentioned earlier, the Luba 2 all-wheel drive now has a built-in dual camera for obstacle detection. Again, the built-in ultrasonic sensors all around the mower and the bumper on the front remain the same here. This device thus has 3 redundant systems with which it can detect obstacles. Depending on the nature of the area you want to work with the device, you can adjust which systems the mower should rely on. For example, in very tall grass, it's not useful to activate the camera or ultrasonic sensors, as they would recognize the tall grass as an obstacle. In this case, it's only advisable to use the bumper as obstacle detection. The adjustment of obstacle detection levels is done exclusively in the app, where we have the choice between 3 different levels. In the highest level, all 3 systems are used for obstacle detection, which sounds very promising without question. However, I extensively tested how well the robot actually detects obstacles in practice. Large objects, such as garden furniture or even people, are already easily detected and avoided by the device, as you can see. I haven't encountered any difficulties in maneuvering around them so far. Smaller objects, on the other hand, like a watering can, a flower pot, or a football, are also detected early and maneuvered around in a sufficient arc. The detection of multiple obstacles is therefore no problem for the Luba 2. The only thing that I found somewhat peculiar was the behavior of the mower when it encountered obstacles. Those who've seen my video on the first generation of the Luba will notice that the behavior is completely identical, and it suggests that the built-in ultrasonic sensors are being triggered. However, this is not the case, as we'll see shortly. That's exactly why I decided to take the whole game to the extreme and ordered several 20-centimeter high cones and scattered them wildly in the mowing area. Then I placed the mower and told it to please start mowing the area now. I believe if the Luba had known beforehand how many obstacles were there, it probably wouldn't have started at all. So, when the mower encountered the first obstacle, the same simple behavior as before was observed. However, when it got stuck between the cones, I was really impressed by what I saw. As you can see, the Luba maneuvers almost effortlessly through numerous obstacles. The camera detects all obstacles in front of and partly also beside the mower due to its wide field of view of 116 degrees horizontally by 99 degrees vertically, enabling a quick reaction. In my test, the Luba 2 thus achieved a very good avoidance rate of multiple obstacles on the lawn, which really surprised me. However, one should be cautious with very shallow obstacles with little texture, as they may not be properly detected by the camera in the grass. Not to forget, the precise obstacle detection using the camera is only possible in daylight. This means that detection is greatly limited at night or even at dusk. And finally, the built-in camera, similar to what was the case with the previously introduced Ecovacs Goat, the video of which you can find here on the top right, can be used as a mobile surveillance camera. This allows us to see what's happening in our garden in the app, even when we're not at home. While this is definitely advantageous on one hand, on the other hand, it might be something to be slightly critical about. And now, last but not least, a few words about controlling and managing the mower. Since the device itself only has a small control panel with relatively few physical buttons, control mainly takes place through the app. Alternatively, the device also has a smart home interface, allowing us to connect to the mower through Alexa or Google Home. Additionally, the mower can also speak situationally. It sounds like this.
Luba suspended in air. Luba rollover. Start charging.
But the robot's app, on the other hand, is exactly the same as with Luba 1, just with a few minor updates, so there's no need for a major adjustment here. The app is nicely laid out and easy to use. Furthermore, it's available in multiple languages, only rare translations might not be immediately understandable. But on the other hand, they are still well explained through all the illustrations. Nevertheless, the app offers a wide variety of settings that we can make on the device, making it easy to work with versatile gardens. And thus, we've come to the final conclusion because one thing I can say for sure is that the Luba is no longer like the first version, the somewhat clumsy mower for large, uncomplicated gardens, but can now do much more. With the built-in dual camera, the device enables precise navigation in GPS-poor areas such as under trees and also makes a big leap forward in obstacle detection. Of course, the mower's still a device of superlatives, ideal for medium to large gardens with little or a lot of uneven terrain or steep inclines, but due to the immense cutting width and efficient mowing system, it can also handle them in a very short time. Thanks to the camera, in my opinion, the device is now also suitable for gardens with many obstacles, where you no longer have to fear that the mower will accidentally flatten everything. From my point of view, there's therefore a clear recommendation for anyone looking for a device that can easily handle multiple zones, uneven terrain, or steep inclines, while also having reliable obstacle detection. You can find the current prices of the mower to support this channel down in the video description. Thank you very much for your support. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please show it with a thumbs up to promote the video. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel now and activate the bell to never miss a video again. And with that, I'd say stay healthy, take care, and until next time, goodbye.